Hi guys, and welcome to the Way It Goes podcast. So you join myself, Dan, and my co-host Ryan, and we're going to be talking about all things life. We're going to be going into lots of topics that maybe are a little bit tricky to discuss, but we're going to try and put a positive spin on them, bit of laughter, and basically just talk about society as it is now, growing up, what we've experienced, and kind of our life experiences, and bring some guests in as well to talk about things that they've been through.
We essentially want to just go along the lines of we're therapy but funny.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of, I wouldn't call this a self-help podcast, but we're going to cover some quite serious topics, but we hope to kind of make it light-hearted along the way. So buckle up, enjoy the ride. Over pretty much every Monday, we're going to be launching a new episode every Monday, 5 a.m. The best part of your Monday morning. There we go. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, hopefully you can kind of enjoy us explore some of these difficult topics and just try and put a positive spin on stuff. So let's just do introductions first, shall we?
Yeah, cool.
So I'll start with myself. My name is Dan Latham. If you don't know me already, I have another channel on YouTube as well, which is all about cars. So you can find me on YouTube. It's just Dan Latham. And yeah, I do sort of automotive journalism stuff. I've got a normal job as well with a big company. And this is just something that I wanted to kind of explore on the side. So we'll do a little bit about ourselves, and then we'll talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. If you want to jump straight into the juicy content, skip forward about 5 minutes or so, straight into the main topic of today, which is going to be things that we learned in our 20s. Ooh. And we've got lots of user submissions from this one. We asked it on Instagram and Facebook to family and friends, and we've got some really interesting responses, which I think will probably resonate with a lot of people out there. So hopefully, if you're listening to this on the way to work in the car, on the train, or just chilling at home with a nice cup of tea, hopefully this will find a spot for you.
Hopefully we can give you a few laughs.
Yeah, hopefully we can give you a few laughs along the way. Yeah. Nothing too serious, but yeah. So that's me. So Ryan, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Ryan. Ryan Oz, as you so kindly call me. I have known Dan for a very long time. We've known each other since Dan was born. Mm-hmm. You're only a year younger than me. So.
Yeah, so I'm 27.
I'm 28. So
I feel like we're on the rough side of 20s at this point.
We are on the rough side of 20s. we are that 30 mark is coming.
Oh yes, it really is.
Do you know what? Off topic, but I'm not really afraid of it.
No, and that's something we're going to touch on today. So yeah.
But yeah, I've known Dan for a very long time, and this has always been kind of a dream for both of us.
Yeah,
we used to run a YouTube channel for gaming
years and years ago when we were kids, basically.
We were probably about 13, 14 at the time, and that just kind of inspired this passion. You started your YouTube channel, and then we just sort of, it's always been in the back of our minds. It's always been a little conversation that we've always kept going and until today, and hopefully we can reach out to some people and
100%.
We can like you're saying, just bring a little bit of joy to someone's day.
Yeah,
I know that sounds really cheesy.
Yeah,
but
cliche.
like, I genuinely, if I can make someone smile, that is really nice.
That's what it's about for me. Yeah,
that is really nice for me.
This is the thing. I've always had that sort of creative mindset, and I've always wanted to have a business outside of my normal job. And I love my normal job, and I'm very happy with where I work and stuff. But I've just had this creative streak in me, and we're very lucky to work with a lot of people who are in that same boat. And we've learned a lot in that process. And I think since starting YouTube myself and my own channel, I've kind of found that you've got to persist and you've got to push through this is just a hobby. And I've now made it into a viable business, and that's kind of what led to this, is because I was like, we've always wanted to do this. Why don't we just give it a shot?
Yeah.
Like, we've got some time, we've got some energy.
I might have been drunk.
And we just decided to give it a shot, and here we are in this really cool studio. And I just want to also very quickly shout out my mum for letting us use this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's been paramount into making this happen as well. Yeah. She's awesome. She's done such a lot for me over the years, and I just want to say thank you if you're watching, just for allowing us to use this space.
We appreciate you for letting us raid your home away from
this is her holiday home that we are using as a studio. I'll insert a picture now of us actually setting this rig up. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty surreal, I think.
Oh yeah, right,
to be here doing this.
I was saying to you before we started that this is all really surreal for me.
Yeah,
because I've never done something on this scale.
Yeah,
so I'm just like, What?
Yeah. What are we doing? Why are we here? We're in someone's caravan with a lighting rig, and it's a bit odd. But yeah. So for me, the reason I wanted to do this is much the same as yourself. I think like I just want to make people smile. I want to help people along that have been through similar experiences to myself. I think especially at what we're touching on today, things that we learned in our 20s. My 20s have been really tough. And I'm not worried to talk about that to people. I think the more you talk about these things, I think the better it gets. And I think, as I say, we're going to touch on some quite serious topics, but we hope to make it really fun along the way. Each episode, we're going to try and chuck a few things in. So going to try showing some dilemmas as well. So we're going to be getting some dilemmas for us to talk about. The dilemma that I'm sharing today, Ryan has never heard before. So it's going to be his live reaction. And then at the end of the episode, at the end of the episode, we then round it off with a quote, whether it be something inspirational, something funny, just to kind of round off the episode and something to discuss. So a little bit of serious, a little bit of fun. And we hope that you find it interesting on your morning commute, on the train.
Hope you enjoy.
On the bus, in the car, wherever you are. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm good to. Let's crack on. Let's get into the juicy stuff.
Let's get on to the juicy stuff. So we've had a little bit of intro. So if you skipped forward, fair play. Too long, didn't read. So today we're going to be talking about things that we learned in our 20s, and we've also got lots of user submissions for this one as well, which is really interesting. So I posted this on my Instagram, and I got a lot of responses, a lot more than I was expecting.
I got 4.
So people are keen to share, and a lot of these people weren't people that I know in real life. There were a lot of people that I've just met through YouTube or done kind of like events with, or people that have just followed me to look at my car content or whatever.
A few people we work with. Few people,
all that kind of stuff, and it is really interesting, and also a complete variety of age ranges, which is really interesting.
That was pretty interesting to see.
Looking
at the responses.
So I think we'll start with the user responses and just talk through a bit of those before delving into kind of our own experiences. So we've got quite a few here.
Oh no! Oh God! You're gonna have to zoom in on that.
I don't think I can zoom in. That's fine. I can read that from here. So
you're better eyes than me.
So the first one that I got, and this was the first response that I actually got to this question, what did you learn in your 20s? So I got a response that says, nobody has a clue what they're doing in life. They're just winging it. So you just need to do what makes you happy.
I heard a really interesting thing the other day. I was watching a Tomska video. And he said when he was younger, he asked his parents, do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
And it was, do you feel like you're adults?
Yeah.
And their response was yes. But his response to that was obviously, he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
He didn't feel like he knew what he was doing.
No.
I'm 28. I certainly don't feel like I know what I'm doing. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Absolutely, 100%.
We're winging this.
This is. I mean, we're trying to go no edits and see what happens. So
just
best
try
of
the
luck
best.
to our listeners.
But the thing is, like, I truly don't think anyone knows.
No.
What they're doing.
No.
And the thing is, people may say that they think they know what they're doing. Like, people might have planned their life out. But the thing is anything can happen. I'm testament to that.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
100%.
So, just slightly off topic, I have a disease called MS. That happened in my 20s. So, anything can happen.
Exactly. What a curveball that was. And that's something we're going to be talking about in a completely separate episode. But yeah, you're right. That was something that really impacted you. And kind of I saw that process and how that unfolded. And I think you've got to be ready for anything. But I think, like you say as well, like, there's no chance that you're going to know off the cuff what you're doing. I think it's crazy to me that when you're in school, you're kind of expected to know your direction in life. Because when I think back to when I was like 18, you think you're an adult, you think you know it all.
Oh, 100%.
But you really don't know what your journey is going to be like, and you don't know what's going to be thrown your way, whether that be good or bad, So, yeah, that's something that I've really learned, is that I completely agree with that. I think you do wing it as you go on. I think that you just need to be open-minded to see what what's out there.
You need to be open to anything changing at the drop of a hat.
100%.
Because the thing is, like, you truly do not know what curveballs life will throw at you. Apologies if I'm sniffing because I've got a little bit of a cold. You really don't know what curveballs life's going to throw at you. And, like, I think the key to that is just having the right attitude.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to have the right attitude to everything, because bad things can happen, and bad things can happen to good people, and you don't expect it, and you just kind of want to collapse in on yourself.
Yeah.
But I think the key is, it's happened, grieve, or, you know, mourn for whatever it is that's happened, and then look to either what you can do, or, cool, let's pick myself up, dust myself off, and carry on.
And go again, yeah.
And now that's not it's easier said than done for a lot of things, but I think if you have the right people around you,
that's half the battle.
That is half the battle.
Yeah,
that is 100% half the battle.
That is half the battle. I think for me that's been a key sentiment. Like no matter what has happened in my life, having a good group of friends around me, I think, and family and whatever, I think that makes such a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bit introverted. I'd say you're probably quite introverted as well in a way.
I'm like a weird mix of two.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I am as well.
If I'm with people, I'm kind of a little bit more extroverted.
Yeah.
But if I'm kind of like in a new environment on my own, I'm quite introverted.
Yeah. And I think you can be both, definitely. But I think the key is you've got to know when to have those interactions. You've got to know when you're feeling lonely and you want to get out there and you want to talk to people, and having that group of people around you is so paramount to getting you through any bad situation. And yeah, I think that's a big key. And the other part of what he said there was do what makes you happy. And I think that's so important, because I think as a society we get caught up in this whole thing of you have to go out and get this normal job, and you have to do this, and you have to have kids at a certain age, and you have to get married at a certain age. And whilst these things might seem ideal to you, that doesn't necessarily mean that is what's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Like you have to follow a trajectory, and you have to do a job that you enjoy, because if you hate getting up every morning, that's going to kill you off. Like that's really going to make you struggle.
That last section or last bit, that just thinking about it as you said it, I don't think I'd be doing any of this if it weren't for Taylor. And Taylor and Kane, which is two of our friends, they started recording their own film, and watching them do something that they love, and watching them do just take a step back from their, I guess, real life. Oh, I hate doing that, but real life.
Yeah, it's like YouTuber.
Yeah,
I hate that.
Yeah. Stepping back from their real life and just doing something that they love, that was a key thing for me.
100%. Seeing the passion ooze out of them.
In order to get to this point, for us to do this, that was a key point for me to just see them and go, wow, yeah, I want to do more. And I think it all goes back to what we were saying earlier about having a good group of friends around you and having the right people around you, because those two motivated me. You've motivated me. Like we're a very, I want to say we're a group of motivators. We all push each other to do things that we all enjoy. And I
100%.
think it's so key.
It is
so key.
It really is. And doing what makes you happy is, I was saying before we started recording this, if I wasn't here today, I'm off my actual work this week, like I'm on holiday, I would probably just be sat at home moping in bed, just watching a bit of telly, not doing anything productive.
It's time, it's 2:00. I wouldn't be awake.
Well, there you go. So yeah, I think I would probably just be moping about, but instead I'm here and I'm really enjoying this conversation we're having and doing something that I'm passionate about, which is creating content and talking to people. So yeah, that's a real key. So let's have a look at some of the others that we've had submitted. This one's quite good. How not to spend money, however I still do it going into my 30s.
I think you're always going to spend money.
Yeah, I think
that's the sad truth is that is the way of the world these days. But the thing is the irony. Look at all of this stuff we've got around us. This is all stuff we bought for.
We've just spent a load of money on to get started. But sometimes you have to do that initial investment. Sometimes you have to take that plunge.
Exactly.
I think something else about this is you think you're going to learn how to budget, right? But then life gets in the way, and when you're getting to these ages, it's fair enough when you're 18 and we used to go to parties all the time or clubbing or whatever it might be, social events constantly, and you're constantly meeting up because you've got all that free time and you see each other that way. But now we're adults and we're kind of out in the real world with real jobs and real responsibilities. And some of our friends now, because of our age, have got families, kids, whatever, are married, houses to upkeep. So you find yourself in that situation where you have to kind of force yourself to go and meet these people to keep that contact, not in a bad way, but you're going to have to go out for dinner or meet up or whatever. So you're spending money passively without even thinking about it as well.
I mean, for me, out of my old friend group from school, I'm the only one without. Well, no, actually, there's two of us. Sorry, there's two of us without children. Everyone else has a house, has children.
Yeah,
and I think trying to see them is nigh on impossible.
Oh yeah,
but equally so, we've said this multiple times to each other. We're low maintenance friends.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's going to come out really wrong. I don't mind not seeing them.
Yeah,
but in the sense of I don't mind not seeing them because I know they've got life. They're doing what they love. They're doing. Yeah. They've got family.
And you know as well that they're close enough that they won't mind that.
Exactly.
And I think that's the key is and I'm going to actually segue into another one that I was shown here. That's a nice segue. There's a nice segue. One of the submissions I had, and this is from someone I don't actually know in real life, they said, your friends are relative to where you are in your life. And I think that's so true as well, because I think you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. Because like you said, we're low maintenance. So, if Ryan doesn't talk to me for a few days, I'm not going to get on his back and be like... I
didn't talk to you for 4 years.
Yeah. But basically, I'm not going to get on his back and be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we need to meet up. We need this. I need this time with you because I'm low maintenance. Like, I know that he's got my back and vice versa, and we're close, and we don't need that constant reassurance.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And so we're on the same wavelength. And I think if it was the opposite, if, let's say, for example... you were really high maintenance and you were constantly going, Dan, let's meet up today. Let's meet up. Let's do this. Let's go to the pub. Let's go this. And constantly, and then getting annoyed with me when I don't do those things, then we're not on the same wavelength and we're just not going to be compatible in that friendship.
No, I think the thing, I guess this is ever so slightly off topic. The thing with low maintenance friends and high maintenance friends is that high maintenance friends will never understand the low maintenance friends.
True. Yeah.
That you might find exceptions to that rule, but like with me and you, like I said, we didn't speak for 4 years.
No, and that wasn't for any particular reason. We just lost touch because we went our separate ways in school, friendship groups. You know how it goes.
Yeah, we didn't speak for 4 years, and that the day that we started talking again, just like nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
and this is like. I think it genuinely all just comes back to that point that we said with the first submission. Friends.
Yeah.
Friends are the key.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, as hard as it is going out and meeting new people, sometimes you just got to do it. Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and just do it.
And do you know what as well? You say that it's a bit of a strange one to go into, but I think sitcoms like Friends, literally Friends the show. I think when you watch them when you're younger, you think that this isn't what people do in life.
No.
But the older you get, the more you realise that actually, I know it's a bit obscure that they all share an apartment, whatever but the fact that they kind of go about their lives and they come back together in the coffee shop and they meet up and they chat about what's going on, that's kind of what things get to. That's
us in the pub.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's us in the local spoons or down the coffee shop, So I think that it does come back to that kind of like you need to be able to live your separate life.
Oh yeah.
And do whatever you want to do as well. Like my job and my like all this stuff that I do means that my schedule is all over the place, which makes friendships and relationships quite difficult because I'm here, there and everywhere doing all sorts of different stuff and in our job as well, we don't have set schedules necessarily. So it's not like a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday that a lot of people have. And And some people definitely find that a bit odd. Like when you meet new people, they're kind of like, oh,
yeah. I mean, the thing is, for me, like, I like that.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
I love that.
I love my non-routine, if you like.
Yeah, and some people hate that. Some people have to have a routine, but I'm far too chaotic. I'm far too chaotic for a routine.
Well, this is something that I've learned about myself in my 20s, is that I need variation, because it drains me having that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
That's something that I just can't do, because I don't have the motivation for it.
I learned that in doing a 9 to 5.
100%. And again, that's something we're going to touch on in the next episode. Actually, we're going to be touching on that kind of topic. But it's really interesting to kind of sit back and think about what you've learned yourself in your 20s. But let's have another look at something else that's been submitted. This one actually I really like, and I think you'll probably resonate with it as well as a listener. And this is from someone who is a YouTuber in the same space what I do, who is actually older than me as well, and they've said the pressure leading up to 30 is far worse than actually when you get there. When you get there, you tend to feel quite relaxed. And then they also submitted another one that says you can start again at any age.
So this is what I was touching on earlier about not being scared to go 30. I think I'm at that point where I'm sort of like, I'm reaching 30 and I'm sort of plateauing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, like at 25, I mean, what didn't help at 25 is my mum telling me, oh yeah, you're 25 years from 50. I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah. But at 25, it's kind of like, it's this big scary thing of, oh my God, I'm an actual adult. I'm not classed as a young adult anymore. I'm an actual adult. But when I think a few months after I turned 28, I'm kind of sat there like, yeah, 30's coming.
It'll be all right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think what's helped with that is having a lot of older friends. Mm-hmm. Having a lot of friends that are 30 or over 30. Yeah. And just seeing them live their life as they are. Yeah. Because it can always be a little bit big and scary when you're like thinking like, oh, I'm big boy adult now. Yeah. But I think you kind of eventually you just take it in your stride.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, I think like everyone's in a different position. This is kind of what I was touching on earlier, but we've got a lot of friends who are married, they've got kids, they've got their own house, whatever, they've got or I also know some people that have got a big job in the city, loads of money, whatever. And then I also know some people that are in the creative industry and they don't really have a lot of money at all. They're kind of starting fresh, or they've had a breakup and they've moved home and they're starting again. There's all sorts of different situations. And I thought at this point I would be settled. I thought I would be married, kids and all that by sort of 30. And that's not how things have worked out for me. And that's fair enough. Like, as much as I would have liked that, you know, things have happened and life happens, and so you end up just thinking, okay, what's next? And you've got to make the best of those situations. And I think that really is true. You can start again at any age. And I've also heard stories of people that are, you know, well into their sort of 50s and 60s who have completely decided on a career change, or
we got to think a lot of people
moved away, or
a lot of people that we work with worked in a different field for most of their life, and then that field either became redundant or they moved on to a different job, but they always, looking at them, I guess, found their feet. And I think when you're moving from one job to another, it's scary enough, but when you're moving from one field to another field, that's a big jump.
That is,
like that's a thing that you kind of think, oh my God, this is never going to work. But 9 times out of 10 it does, always.
And I think as well, you've got to be open to that change.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Like, there's no way that you're going to be the same person at 20 that you are at 30. Like, you learn so much in that process, whether it's about yourself and your own ambitions, your own goals, the things that you want to achieve, or the type of people that you want to hang around with, the relationships that you build, or whether it's something to do with just what makes you happy. And I think that is the key. I think you need to chase what makes you happy. I really don't think it's worth wasting time on something that doesn't make you happy, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's a living situation. I know some people are unlucky and they can't really change those things straight away due to various reasons.
Yeah.
But if something isn't making you happy, you've got to take a step back and just think to yourself, look, what can I change within myself to change my circumstances and put myself into a better place?
Yeah.
That's something I've really learned about myself over the last few years.
You learn these things. You learn these things as you grow up. It's like we were saying, like, you don't really know what life's going to throw at you.
No.
But I think when life throws these weird and wonderful things at you, you learn the resilience that you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
You kind of, you sit there and you think, oh God, like say something bad's happened, for instance, you're like, oh God, I'm never going to recover from this.
Yeah.
And then a year later, you're, sacking it off and spending time with your friends.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. And I think there's one that's on screen that's jumping out to me, and I'm sure he won't mind me naming names. He's a close friend of mine. James has just said, have fun. He's put the little disco emoji as well. And
yeah, I could see him. Yeah, I could see him being
yeah.
I don't know, when I see that emoji, I think of him.
Yeah, he's up dancing, he's having a good time, and he is like the epitome of that. Like, he won't let something get him down.
No.
He's always having fun. And I think that's definitely a good one as well, is that you have to be able to just have a laugh and have fun and get through things.
Yeah.
And whenever we're having a serious conversation, we still poke fun at it.
Oh, God,
we poke such fun at it. Even if something really bad has happened, we just have a laugh.
Yeah, I think it's key.
Yeah,
You've got to laugh. You've got to laugh. The saying is true. You've got to laugh or you'll cry.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got to laugh or you'll cry. Because I touched on it earlier when I got ill. Thankfully, I knew a lot about my illness and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I laughed.
Yeah, and we joked about it, and that's how I could see how that's how you were getting through it, because we managed to joke about it and and just poke fun at it. And sometimes that's what you have to do.
Yeah,
I mean, life can throw you some really tough situations, but there's always a reason for it, and there's always something that you're going to learn from it. And yeah, the other one that I can see standing out on screen to me is having to adult is no joke.
Oh God!
And
that meme I shared with you the other day, adulting, 1 star.
Yeah, 1 star indeed. When you're a kid, I think you think, I want to get a house, I want to go and learn to drive, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then when you get here, it's like, cool, I'm now unsupervised. And I don't know what to do.
I'm unsupervised with money.
Yeah. Yeah. School didn't teach me how to pay taxes.
No.
School didn't teach me how to start a business.
Actually, sorry, really off topic, but have I ever told you about the time that we overrode our teacher and he was going to teach us algebra, but we all said, can we just learn subtraction and addition so we can learn how to do our taxes?
That is brilliant. Yeah, I feel like that's a whole nother can of worms. We're going to be discussing education in another episode, but I think that's definitely a big one, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of things that you learn for the first time that you have to just wing.
Oh God, yeah. That first paycheck comes through. Oof.
You're like, you're spend. You're like, bills. What have I done?
Phone bill.
Yeah. Oh no.
So when we used to work we worked together a couple of times.
Yeah.
We used to work for another company. And when we worked for that company, we was paid on the 28th, was it?
Yeah, sometime
around then. And I will never forget when that first paycheck come through. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, I've got so much money now.
Yeah. What am I going to do? I'm rich.
I've got so much money.
Yeah.
First of the month, nothing.
Yeah. He's spent it all down the pub. He's bought himself some new games and whatever else. Like, yeah, it soon goes. And I guess you probably only truly learn to budget when you've got your own place and you've got all those responsibilities, or you have a kid. And
the more responsibilities you get, the more you learn.
Yeah, the more you learn how to budget.
You have to.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only reason I've learned how to budget is because of running my own businesses and stuff like that. Like, I think that's the only reason that I'm actually any good at saving and stuff like that. And obviously having that in my head, like, I need to buy a house. And yeah, just having that discipline and learning that discipline, because you don't have it at 18. And I don't think, if you're listening to this and you're younger, you don't need to have that discipline at 18. Like,
oh God, no.
There's no way that you need to constantly. You've got to live your life a little bit, right? You need to be able to go out.
You've got to have fun.
Yeah.
If you're younger and you're listening, don't.
There's no rush.
I want to say don't listen to the adults, but do listen to the adults. The adults tell you the rules, and they're right.
Yeah.
But don't be strict on yourself with money. Be a little bit strict.
It's good to save. It's good to have a goal.
It's good to have some cash behind you. But if there's a shiny new thing that you want, go get that shiny new thing.
When you first start work, I think it's important to treat yourself and to celebrate your education and sort of coming of age and that kind of thing. And I think if you've got a really strict goal in your head of like, I want a house by the time I'm 25, it might not happen, but it's good to have that goal. And to set that saving goal and that kind of thing as well. Just don't make it too strict that you can't enjoy your life. Like if you're living on rice and beans and you're never going out and seeing your friends, you're going to get to our age and you're going to be like, I've wasted so much time.
I've done nothing. Yeah, and it's like you can budget for things. Like you can budget for a house, you can budget for stuff like that. But equally so, if you don't enjoy yourself, all that time you're budgeting, the second you start spending, you're gonna have like no control.
100%.
Because I did that. I was saving and saving and saving and saving and saving. Something happened. I then needed to start spending a little bit. Or not needed to start spending. I wanted to start spending. I then started spending a little bit, and then I overspent.
Yeah.
And I kind of sat there and thought, oh, God.
Yeah, should have been saving.
I should have saved
Should have
money.
been saving.
And that's the thing. Is looking back on that, I don't feel bad that I didn't.
No.
But equally so, I kind of wish I a little bit did.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think you should see things as mistakes either. Like I've made some questionable decisions in my 20s.
No regrets.
No regrets. I've made some questionable decisions in my 20s. I've made mistakes, and that is natural, right? Like. And I think you have to learn from it. Like if you've done something bad or you've made the wrong decision, or even if you've come out of school and you've gone into a career that you now hate, we'll touch on jobs next episode. But I came out of school. I knew I didn't want to go to uni because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Right. And so I was like, I'm going to go into an apprenticeship. I went into an apprenticeship in IT because that's what I've always been good at. I've always been good at tech. I've always known, since I was a young age and my granddad was teaching me and stuff. So I wanted to go into that because I knew I'd be good at it. And I was good at it. But I hated it. I hated every second of it. I woke up every morning and I despised going to work.
Yeah.
And it's no healthy way to live, and you can't do that to yourself. And I thought that I just had to stick it out because that was the path that I'd chosen when I come out of school, and that's what I'm stuck doing now. And you know what? Actually taking the risk to come away from that and start fresh was one of the best things I've ever done. And that's really something that I had to use a lot of willpower to do. And I'm very lucky because my girlfriend at the time was so supportive in that decision. And, she made sure that I did what was right for me. And again, that goes back to having people around you that are going to support you and be there for you.
And the thing is, I did a similar thing.
Yeah.
I had a very comfortable office job. I was going in, doing my 9 to 5. And then all of a sudden I started to realize that I wasn't enjoying this office job. The time frame was great, like having the 9 to 5, having the weekends, it's nice. But I then realized that wasn't for me, and I'll never forget talking to you saying like I need to get out, like I want to do something different. And then obviously joining you where you're working now. The thing is I'd done it before. Like I'd made that leap twice before. Like I did it when I left my office job in London, and I did it when I ended up leaving the previous company that we both worked for. And both of those times it was a real big risk. And I was in a very privileged position that I was living at home with family, and I didn't have to worry about the financial impact of that. And as I said as well, my girlfriend at the time, I was spending a lot of time there, so I knew that worst case scenario, she'd be able to help me out, and she was more than willing. And so I was, eternally grateful for that. So when it came to making that decision, I was like, right, I've got the right people behind me.
I know that this is going to improve my mental health, and I know that I need to do this for me. So let's just jump in.
It's the same for me. The thing is, when you're looking at making a big move like that, you have to look at it from the sense of, is this going to make me internally feel better?
Yeah.
Yes, cool, do it.
Yeah.
Because if the biggest thing is your mental health,
100%.
We'll get on topics like that, but the biggest thing is your mental health. And if a job is making you feel terrible, it's not worth staying.
It's not worth the paycheck.
And the thing is, like, I get, obviously in certain situations there are people that can't leave the job,
of course, for financial reasons.
Yeah. But it's always good to look for other things.
Yeah, explore your options.
Like, if you're in a job that you hate but you can't leave it for financial reasons, have an Indeed profile. Have a Total Jobs profile.
Have your CV ready to go. Look on those websites until you find something that fits your needs. Because the thing is, you can do that at any time. Yeah. And, like, obviously, in situations like that where finances are quite tight, you generally don't have a lot of time. You're doing a lot. But you can always find 5-10 minutes to have a look through some jobs. Yeah. And try and find that escape. Yeah, and that goes back to what we were saying. You can start again at any age. Exactly. And I've been lucky enough to do that a few times effectively, job wise anyway. But even with big decisions, like if you want to change your living situation, like if you want to move away to a new city, or like, those are massive decisions that are really life impacting decisions. But you've got to take a look within yourself and think, is that something that is going to better me in the long run? Oh, yeah. And if the answer is yes, then sometimes you just have to do it. And have, like we were saying originally, have the right people in your corner to back you. That's the key. Or likewise, if you don't have the right people in your corner right now, go and seek those people, because there's always going to be someone on your wavelength that resonates with what you're doing and what you're feeling. And
I think it's very important to know that even if you've got a group of friends around you and they are not the great friends that you thought they were, or the great friends that they used to be, it's important to know that deep down, A, they are the same person. There might be something going on there. Or B, maybe you've outgrown these people. They said it. You can start again. You can always start again. That is for friendships, work, anything. You can start again. Like, you're not tied to anything in this world. No. Unless you have kids. Then you're tied to those.
Yeah, true.
And you've got
slightly different
those.
But I think with that though, even when it comes to the people that you surround yourself with, like, you have to kind of be open that those people are going to grow as well. And in relationships, if you've got a partner, you've got to understand that they are going through a growth journey the same as you are. And there's going to be things that impact their life that are going to be really difficult, and you have to help them through that, and vice versa. And you have to be open to those changes, I think. But anyway, let's move on to one that is this one I saw and I thought, it really does make you seem old, but it really does resonate.
Oh God.
Going to bed at a reasonable hour is, contrary to what you used to believe, extremely cool.
Is it?
Yeah. Because, I mean, I know we don't.
I'm looking at you we went to bed at like 1 last night.
Yeah, we were like planning stuff and I'm a night owl. I get all my best work done in the evening, so I'm terrible for this. But it is cool because you think of all the people that are the morning people, or that get up, go to the gym and all that kind of thing, like, or not necessarily even going to bed at a reasonable hour, but getting the right amount of rest and actually looking after your body. Yeah. Being in tune with going to the gym or whatever fitness stuff you do.
I don't think you necessarily need to go to bed early for that, though.
No.
I think the key thing for stuff like that, for going to bed at a reasonable time, what is your reasonable time?
Yeah.
What true. Are you doing the next day?
It's 2 a.m.
If you've got work the next day, don't go to bed at 1. It's a bad move.
Yeah, which we do all the time.
Especially if you've got to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Just knowing your own time frame.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing. Knowing your own time frames.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm late for everything. I'm always late.
Yeah,
it's well established. It's well established. I was early today.
Yeah,
all right.
I actually
I was on time.
I nearly didn't make it to the shoot because I was about to pass out in shock.
It's a first time for everything.
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah. I don't know if this is my friend or like a twin that I don't know about.
Ooh. Spooky ghost.
It is spooky season after all.
It is spooky season. I've been replaced.
I think it's a good time to close out this segment, but I think what I want to close on is the world doesn't care or stop for you. And I think that's something to really remember, is your place in this world is really important to those around you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So your family and your friends, you are their world. And that's something that's really important. But to everyone else, you're just a small speck, small fish in a big pond. And so you have to think, when you're doing something in public, if you're... Sometimes I think this when I'm going out filming, I'll be filming and someone will be looking at me like, what is this guy doing? That's a bit weird.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's quite funny.
But
it's
what
not really me just standing in the corner like...
Yeah. What I think to myself is... But I don't even know this person, and this person's going to forget about this in 10 minutes' time because they've got their own life and their own problems to deal with.
You are a face that people pass in the street every day.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. Just do what you enjoy. Just do what makes you happy, because nobody
makes you happy.
Yeah.
And within reason.
Within reason.
Within reason. Do what makes you happy, but I guess the thing is, be mindful of those around you as well. Like, not everyone's going to be receptive to what you do, and that's okay. Like, that is okay for people to not be receptive. They're entitled to their opinion. Yeah. They're wrong, of course, but they are entitled to their opinion. But no, like, do what you love.
Yeah, that's the key takeaway from this, I think.
Do what you love. If you've learned anything in your 20s, it's that you love yourself. Do what you love
and love your journey. Make sure that you chase what makes you happy, who makes you happy, and take risks. Because if you sit still forever, or if you just think, I could do that, but what if?
Also, you matter more than the person that makes you sad.
So true. Yeah, so true. Because even that's a learning experience, right? If you're going through that and someone is making you unhappy, or if you're struggling to gel with someone in that respect, like, you just got to be aware that they're going through stuff as well. So you kind of just have to be conscious of that.
I think you have to be conscious of it to a point, but I think you have to realize your own worth. And I'm just very aware of time, but you have to realize your own worth, and you have to realize that your health, your mental health, is more important than sticking around someone that makes you feel like crap.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. And you do have to learn that the hard way sometimes.
You have to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
And to close it off, if there's one thing I've learned in my 20s, it's that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I've learned that necessarily. I think my circumstances have been very different to yours. I've never really had anyone make me deeply unhappy in my 20s. I don't think I've really experienced that. Obviously, I've been through difficult breakups and things like that. But what I've learned is you just need to put yourself in a situation where you can love and feel loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on that note, let's move on then to, we're going to talk about very briefly what it's like to break away from your parents. Because I think that's something that everyone kind of goes through when they're in this stage of life, because whether you move away for uni or whether you are coming back home, or whether you moved out or whatever it might be, there is that point where you start to separate from your family a little bit.
I think it ties very nicely to things that you've learned, because the thing is, a lot of people that break away from their parents are breaking away when they're going to uni.
Yeah.
That is probably the biggest thing, I would say. And you learn everything for the first time. You learn things that you wouldn't have been taught in school.
No.
or you wouldn't have learned at home. You know, like, I guess circumstances differ, but from my own experience, I'll be very honest, I don't know how to use a washing machine.
Ryan.
I don't know how to use a washing machine. I've asked several times to be taught how to use a washing machine, but every time I can't do it. It's confusing. There's too many buttons and it doesn't make sense to me.
I'm fully house trained. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. I'll learn it one day.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I still have a good relationship with both my parents. My mum moved away when she got remarried, and basically for my situation, it just made sense to stay where I was. So I therefore didn't go with her. So that was very much when we sort of separated. But I think our relationship has grown a lot stronger since then, because I feel like when you're kind of growing up, you have that rapport with your you are, because obviously your parents, if you're lucky enough to be in a household where your parents are really sort of caring and affectionate and loving, then I feel like they're constantly trying to, like, my mum will always try and mother me because she wants me to be happy and she wants me to be safe, which I love and I really appreciate.
I think it's the same.
But if you're living together and you're on top of each other, that can get very frustrating, because when you're trying to be an adult, you're moving into your own space, your own relationships, and you've got your own things you want to do, your own hobbies, passions, whatever, and you just want a bit of freedom.
I mean, again, being completely honest, I'm experiencing that. I will openly admit that I still live with my parents, but that's the way of the world these days.
Yeah.
I constantly feel like I'm treading on toes.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Like a proper first world problem.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I bought lunch stuff for work. Put it in the fridge. Dad shouts up the stairs, "Can I move some of your stuff? I need more space."
Yeah, you're like, oh, if I had my own fridge.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Like, I need space for my food.
Yeah,
and it's stuff like that. It's obviously I will always be grateful and thankful.
Yeah, it's nitpicking, isn't it? Really,
yeah,
but
that I've got a roof over my head.
Yeah,
that I've got parents that care enough to let me stay.
Yeah, of course.
there.
Yeah, but I think, just to interject, sorry, but I think another takeaway from that though is that I think it's a very normal thought to have at this age.
Yeah.
That you need that space and you need that freedom. So I think even though it feels like you're kind of throwing your toys at your pram a little bit by having these little nitpicky things, at the same time, there's going to be so many people listening that are like, I'm still living at home in my mid-20s, late 20s, and I'm infuriated with it. And it's not that we're not grateful. It's not that we're not, like, we don't love the people that we're around and that kind of thing. But it's just that you crave that freedom and that,
It's a big thing to be okay with that as well.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you absolutely do not need to move out the second you turn 20 or the second you turn 25. No. You absolutely don't. There's no shame in still living with your parents.
Especially not now. I mean,
the cost of living, and that's another topic that we want to touch on. Yeah. The cost of living at the moment, it's just not feasible.
No.
So, like, I am willing and open to admit that I still live with my parents. That doesn't bother me.
No, because it's very normal now.
It's very normal.
Yeah, it's very normal. It's very accepted socially.
And the thing is like, obviously I'm looking for somewhere to live.
Yeah.
And eventually I will move out. But at the moment, it's just not financially viable.
No.
So, I think when a thing for me is like, you can break away from your parents when you're still living in their home.
Yeah.
I'm a very independent person in terms of going out and stuff like that. Whereas, so I literally, and thankfully my parents are very open to this, I can just walk in and out of the house whenever.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I can come and go as I please.
Yeah.
They're okay with it as long as I tell them where I am.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they want to know. Yeah. But as long as I tell them where I am, they're okay with me going backwards and forwards whenever I want.
And I think that's part of growing up anyway, isn't it? Like, when you get to like that age where you start going out to see friends and you start going to parties, start going clubbing, the parents are really worried. But then eventually they kind of learn to trust you a little bit. And then you kind of grow out of that phase a little bit anyway. Yeah. And then they just know that you're just going about your life. Like now, I'll go and catch up with my mum as often as I can. We'll go and meet up for lunch, and we have a really nice discussion. And you know, same for my dad. Like, I'll meet up with him, and we'll have like a really nice chat about what's been going on in life, and just catch up.
I stayed in London the other night.
Yeah.
And like, my parents didn't bat an eyelid. I told them where I was. They knew where I was.
Yeah,
I stayed in London. And like, I think it's just important for people to kind of realise that even if you like I said, even if you're living at home, you can still break away from your parents.
Yeah, and it's okay if you're in a position where it's not viable to move out right now financially, because the average wage in the UK, if you're just working a normal job, isn't going to support a single person in most areas of the big cities, London, Manchester, Birmingham, so on, to live in their own establishment. And the trouble is obviously, like, let's say me, for example, in my 20s, I got to a position, I was in a relationship, we were kind of like starting to look at what are we going to do in terms of moving out, buying a house, that kind of thing. That fell through. That sucks. That's part of life. It happened. It is what it is, right? So I'm now in a position where I'm on my own. Can I afford to do it on my own? No, I can't. And that's just how it is right now. But I think if there's a key takeaway from that, it's that wherever you are in life, don't follow the trajectory that people set.
No.
You don't necessarily think that there is one set path. Your timeline is your timeline. Yeah. And you have to be understanding of the fact that your timeline might not be the same as your friend's timeline. Like, if my friend has had a baby and got married and got a house, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm failing because I haven't done that yet.
And like, you got to look at it this way: whatever you open up on social media is not real.
Yeah, 100%. That's something we're going to discuss in depth at some point.
It's not real.
No.
That person that has millions and millions of pounds, dollars, whatever, it's not real.
That's their best bit of their day. That's the highlight. That's not when they're sad. That's not when they're low. That's not when they're feeling lonely, or when they've got themselves hurt, or whatever it might be. That's them at their peak showing off. Yeah. And so it's important, I think, especially this generation and kind of the people that are a bit younger than us. The social media has kind of taken that over. So that's something to bear in mind, is don't always follow what the norm is, because there is no norm. The norm is what you make it, right?
The norm is what you make it. The thing is, like, life is what you make it.
100%.
And you can't live by someone else's dream. Mm-hmm. You've got to have your own dream.
Yep.
And what that looks like, only you will know.
Yeah.
And
it's okay if you don't know straight away.
Exactly. It's okay if you don't know. Like, the whole point of us talking about breaking away from your parents is, you know, giving insight to how I guess we feel in the terms of like breaking away and that independence.
Yeah.
Like, we have literally come out into the middle of bloody nowhere.
Yeah.
Set all this up.
Yeah. And here we are. Yeah.
That's independence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, independence doesn't always look like someone else's independence.
No.
I think a lot of people have got to realise that, like you said, someone else's or did I say it? I can't remember. Dial up sound in my brain. Someone else's independence doesn't look like someone else's. It might not look like your independence.
Yeah.
Someone else's dreams might not look like your dreams or your timeline.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I think
that's life.
The world these days needs to realise that just it is okay.
Yeah, to feel
okay
anything that you're feeling.
How you're feeling. Yeah. It's okay to be in the position that you're in within reason. It's okay to acknowledge that you're not okay. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much to it. There's so much to it.
And sometimes you just have to think, it's just the way it goes. So let's move on then. That was a really in-depth discussion, and we went over time what we thought we was going to, and we're going to come back to this stuff, and obviously it kind of ties in with a lot of the other topics that we're going to be discussing. But I think as our opening episode, we just wanted to kind of share a bit about,
it's a lot of discussion
about like how people feel, because we experience this all the time, and we talk to people of our age group, and they're all having the same struggles, the same anxieties, the same worries that they're not doing the right thing. And there is no such thing as not doing the right thing. Like, and we have, in a way, in various respects, started again in our 20s.
Yeah. 100%.
And I'm doing my best right now, sitting here, to embrace that and to just think that whatever makes me happy will eventually come to me.
I'm here doing the little nudging like,
yeah. Go on in. Because we've got friends around us to do that. So let's move on then to the dilemma. I've tried to tie this in with the theme of the episode, right?
I'm excited.
So Ryan hasn't heard this dilemma. This is something that I just found on a Reddit forum, and it's someone asking for advice. And I want to get your hot take on it, and hopefully you guys in the comments below will also kind of say whether you've been in this sort of situation before and what you would do. So I'm going to move it over. I'm just going to read this out.
Okay.
So, do I sacrifice my happiness or my boyfriend's? That's a juicy title.
Oh.
So I'll read it out. So myself, 22 female, and my boyfriend, 19 male. Have been together for a year now, meeting online, and he moved down to the big city with me. And after some things went downhill, we moved back up to his hometown and stayed with his parents so that we could get back on our feet. I've got a really good paying job that's helping us a lot. However, him back at home has been struggling with mental health issues and has been unable to find himself a job. The one that he does find pay very little. At my job, I've made connections with my co-workers and have managed to make a really good friendship group. My boyfriend wants to move back to the big city as he says it will help him mentally, but I don't want to move back. I prefer being out here in the country. I've made a great friendship group that support me, and I've got a very, very good job that I absolutely love doing. We've spoken about it loosely a few times, but each time comes to a lackluster agreement on both parts to look into things. He says that he's going to make the sacrifice and stay here to be with me, but I feel terrible. I feel guilty that I can't morally do that to him and force him to live in a place where he feels horrible. I also don't want to make the sacrifice as it would lead to unhappiness in myself if I move back to the city, as well as the loss of all of my new friends and a job that I dearly love. I've talked to my friends a lot about it, and as biased as they are, they think that I should stay. I'm feeling horrifically torn. The worst case scenario is that him and I break up. I've already decided that I would go out of my way to fund him to get to the big city, helping him get an apartment and a job. I don't want to lose him, and I'm torn in what to do. I don't want to make the sacrifice when I'm the sole financial provider, but I don't want him to make a sacrifice that's going to cause his mental health to plummet because I love him so much. Am I in the wrong? What would the morally best thing to do? Move back, losing friends and arguably my perfect job, or to cut things off peacefully and amicably and help him get back to the city financially? They're 1,000 miles apart, so this isn't something that's going to be an easy decision. Unbiased opinions, please.
Damn those rose-tinted glasses. Damn.
What do you think?
Oh, wow. It's a hard one, because the thing is, if you truly love each other, I think the thing that you've got to really look at is a compromise.
Yeah.
That is, if you want a relationship to work, you have to compromise. If you're extremely happy in one situation but your partner is not, the compromise is you kind of need to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, what the thing that they don't touch on, and I mean, I guess it's obviously quite private, but what about that place that he's living in is making his mental health so bad?
Yeah. But vice versa. Like I've said to you before, I don't like working in the big city. That's just not for me. I don't enjoy that. And I struggled in that. And I was lucky because my girlfriend at the time said to me, you don't need to do that. Like, we can afford to live the life that we're living now if you break away from that and find something else. Yeah. And so I was lucky in that position. And that's kind of what this is touching on. The other thing that I think is key about this is they're so young. So the girlfriend is 22 and the boyfriend is 19. That's really young, and she's already got a great job and a great group of friends, so she feels like she's kind of got it made.
Yeah.
And he's probably struggling because he feels like she's a little bit older. She knows what she's doing.
I guess there is an aspect,
bit of an age gap there.
Potentially, maybe he's a little bit what's the word? Oh, it escapes me. It's on the tip of my tongue. Maybe he's a little bit embarrassed. Maybe
potentially, yeah.
That, you know, she's got such a great job and. He is, you know, obviously working his way up from the bottom. But I think the key thing is don't put that much pressure on yourself. By the sounds of things, she's absolutely lovely and is not.
And she really wants to help him.
Exactly, and is not putting any pressure on him. So it's important for him to not put pressure on himself.
Yeah.
Like. These things tend to happen in relationships where there is a bit of an age gap.
Yeah.
Someone is oh, I don't want to say usually, someone can be successful, and then the other person is usually not successful,
or just more mature,
or just more mature, or like it is growing into their maturity. But I think my honest opinion on how that works is that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the thing is, with a bit more information, I'd probably be able to drill down to it. But
yeah. So what would you do? Bottom line, what would you do in her shoes?
I would never give someone an ultimatum.
No, true.
I would kind of go along the lines of, what is it about this place that's making your mental health so bad?
Yeah.
And work from there.
Yeah.
Because the thing is there's got to be a reason.
But there's got to be a compromise. But the other thing that I would be concerned about in this is, if they're that young, maybe they've not been together that long. We don't know what their relationship's like. You know, we don't know the ins and outs. Obviously, they care for each other. Maybe they love each other really, really, like, very much. But they're going to meet other people.
Oh, you're going to say something controversial.
Well, what I was going to say is, she might be right in that breaking that off might be the thing to do. And in my shoes, I would find that really difficult, because when I really care about someone, I really care about someone. And
Same.
I would really find that tough to say, look, I love you, but see you later. Like, that for me isn't really an option. Like, for me, it's like, I stick with that person because I love that person, and we can get through that. That
kind of touches on the ultimatum thing.
Yeah.
Is you should never give someone an ultimatum, but in certain circumstances, you've kind of got to look at it from an ultimatum standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we work on what is wrong?
Yeah.
And go from there? Or do we go, we had a good run?
That's the thing. I mean, if it was a really long-term relationship, then maybe there's more of a compromise to be had. Like, if they've been together for a really long time, or they was a little bit older, or whatever it may be. But yeah, and the age gap probably does play into it as well. Like, I've kind of been in that situation where there's been like an age gap in the relationship, and I don't necessarily think it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, if you're on the same wavelength as that person, I don't think it means much.
I think with that relationship, there wasn't an age gap was there, but there wasn't.
You didn't notice it. No,
you genuinely, yeah.
And I think so. I think that's something that you have to kind of. Even though there's a disparity, there might be a maturity difference in this particular situation. It doesn't apply to everyone, because I don't feel in my situation it applied as much as people would think it would.
And with the way that that's worded, I think she's very looking at this from a very mature aspect.
Yeah, and he maybe just hasn't figured things out yet.
Yeah.
And that's because he's the younger person. And that might be the case in a lot of these relationships with age gap. Maybe the younger person is just going through some stuff. They need to figure things out. And sometimes that feels really hard when you've got someone else on that journey with you.
Yeah.
And you're trying to work on things yourself. For me, I prefer to have that partner. But for some people, I think that would probably freak them out, because they don't want to impact the other person's life too much. Like, she doesn't want to hurt him, and she thinks that maybe her making him stay is going to hurt him more than letting him go. And that's really sad. And I've been in that situation, and it's not a nice thing, because for me, I would rather just try and see if you can make that work. But at the same time, you have to be open to the fact that the circumstances might not be ideal at that time.
I think it really is what about that place is making him feel so crap?
Yeah, why is he unhappy?
The thing is, they could save that relationship. They could very much save that relationship. By the sounds of it, they both very much care about each other.
Yeah.
He's willing to sacrifice himself for her staying there. They very much care about each other. They could work on that. The thing for me is, for her perspective, ask him why he feels that low in the area that he's in. They probably know, but it's not detailed in the dilemma. So
yeah.
But ask him why it's making him feel like that, and then for him, it's being open and explaining why this area or wherever he is. And I mean, when you've lived on your own, moving back to your parents it must be so difficult.
Yeah, and I know people have gone through that.
Yeah,
it's not pleasant.
Me too. And it must be so difficult to wrap your head around. This isn't my house anymore.
Yeah, and you probably feel like you failed, even though you haven't. You know, you've just gone through something that means that you've got to start fresh or whatever. That's life sometimes, right? But you probably feel in yourself like you failed.
Oh,
and that might be what this guy is feeling.
Yeah, I think looking at it, there is definitely hope.
Yeah.
There's definitely hope. I think my advice on the dilemma would be for her, ask him why he feels, I say it again, ask him why he feels like that in that area. And if he's struggling to find a job that pays better,
yeah,
help.
And you know what, as well, the key to this is going to be open discussion, because she's thinking about this and she's obviously posted this dilemma. But if she hasn't told him, I'm thinking of moving back, or I'm thinking of sending you back, or whatever it might be, they need to sit down and have that conversation, because if they're close enough and that communication is good enough, that's the key.
Oh, 100%. So you can't limit communication. You need communication for something like this. It's big.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
It is a big thing. Bottom line for me, personally, with how I am, I would want to try and make this relationship work if you clearly really care about each other. But I know that that's not always plausible. I know that this situation might be a case of that person might need to move away, or whatever it might be. If that happens, they're still very young. Things will work out. And I'm a big believer in the right thing will find you at the right time.
100%.
So
it's important to realise where they're so young. It's important to realise that, like we said earlier, you can rebuild at any point.
Yeah, 100%. So let's round off this episode then with a quote. So I'm just going to pick one from our quotes channel here. I'm just going to have a quick discussion of it just to round things off. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode so far. It's, as I say, it's a complete learning curve for us. Like we're just out here winging it, discussing this stuff. You know, trying to share some of our experiences, what we've been through, and trying to help you guys get through some stuff, or just chat about, just make you feel like you're not alone. You know, in these circumstances. Like there's so many people that go through stuff like that
on a day to day, and they don't say anything to anyone.
No, just sitting at home wallowing in it, or you might not reach out to your friends about it, and hopefully this makes someone feel that there are a lot of people going through very similar situations to yourselves, and that there is no right or wrong answers.
We are here and we are listening.
We are indeed, and well, we're not. We're talking actually.
Well, we're talking at the moment.
Yeah,
but you know,
I'll be reading the comments.
We'll be reading the comments, so we're kind of listening.
Yeah. Exactly that. So I'm going to just pick one of the quotes on here. So this one I think really works with what we're doing here today. So this is a tweet. It says, "Your first workout will be bad. Your first podcast will be bad. Your first speech will be bad. And your first video will be bad. Anything you try, the first time round will likely be bad. But you can't make your 100th time without making your first. So put your ego aside and just start."
And that's episode 1.
That's episode 1. I really like that, because it is what it is, right? Like, and it resonates with what we're doing here today.
Yeah,
like
100%.
We've just gone out on a limb to do this. Will it be successful? Who knows? Will people listen? Who knows? I hope that it's at least helped one person.
Yeah, I hope that at least one person listens to this and goes, "Oh, thank God, I'm not the only one."
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, like, oh, I'm going through that. Do you know what?
Yeah, like I'm not the only one that thinks that way, or I'm not the only one that has that opinion. And the thing is, like I said at the beginning, we're regular guys.
Yep.
We have no professional background, I guess.
No, not in any sort of psychology or anything like that. We just have life experience, and we're good listeners to our friends and whatever. So,
like you said, I'm the one that people keep coming to.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why.
Yeah, he's the group therapist.
I'm the little chaotic gremlin. Like,
yeah, I think this goes for anything. Anything you want to try. If you just want to give it a go, just give it a go.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just give it a go. Like,
don't let your dreams be dreams.
Yeah, let them be reality. That's the only reason we're here. That's the only reason I started my first YouTube channel. That's the only reason I'm doing the job that I'm doing now. Exactly. And I'm sure it will be the only reason why I find what I'm meant to have in life.
Yeah, and you know, like, stuff happens.
Yeah,
I was very close. I was very close.
Yeah.
To swearing then. Very close.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be PG forever. So.
Oh well, yeah.
But yeah, I think the key is just give things a go. Don't be afraid to do something that's out of the ordinary, or to start again. Just go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. And I think something that I've really learned from all of my experiences is that if you don't try or you don't explore something, then you're going to live with the what ifs.
Oh God!
And I think that that's worse than giving it a go. If you try and fail, at least you're giving it a go.
At least you're giving it a go.
At least you're giving it a go. So yeah, that wraps up today's episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 1 of the Way It Goes podcast. That's the key behind it all. Sometimes in life, that's just the way it goes. So yeah, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at twig.podcast. And yeah, see us back here next Monday, 5 a.m. The best thing to happen on your Monday. So from myself and Ryan,
see you later.
We'll catch you in the next one.